Hey gang, what's up? Welcome back here to another edition of Intuitive Angling, and thank you very much for checking out today's video. Really appreciate it. Today guys, we're going to be talking about kayak fishing and going to give you guys my opinion of it, sort of talk about the future of it, just sort of have an overall commentary on it. There's a lot of people that fish out of a kayak anymore. So many of the people that comment on my videos allude to the fact they fish out of kayaks, so I think it's about time to do a video on one. So real quick guys, before we get started, just want to let you know that I've been getting quite a few messages and comments from guys saying that they've really been catching a lot of fish on the Blocked Old School jig here lately. It's sort of that season, you know, especially you guys that have high water conditions. It's working really good. And I'll put the Blocked Old School jig link in the description if you guys would like to try out a few. For the summertime guys, my favorite colors is the black and blue tinsel and the black and chartreuse, and I usually pair the black and chartreuse up with a blue trailer and the black and blue one with the blue trailer as well on there. So works pretty good for me flipping in the month of June and through July too, so much appreciated there. So anyway guys, let's talk about kayak fishing a little bit. There's been a huge resurgence in it as far as the kayak tournaments, overall interest in it. I think there's a lot of different reasons in it. Number one, it's more affordable. It's you know, it's a lot more quiet and peaceful. It's not near as hectic. It allows you to, you know, sort of experience fishing more on the basic level of what fishing really is. There's a lot of pluses to it, and I really like the idea of kayak fishing. It's like you can't do everything. It's like you can't, it's sort of like guys that like to golf and fish both. It's hard to find time to do both at the same time, and it's the same with bass fishing. It's hard to kayak fish and fish out of a regular bass boat at the same time, but there's getting to be a lot more people fishing in kayaks. A lot of kayak tournaments, you know, really, they're popping up right and left. So first of all, talk a little bit about the future of it here, and then I want to comment on the direction that it's headed a little bit. I tend to think that kayak fishing is probably going to be the most fastest growing fishing genre in the country. Just for the fact that I mentioned before, the affordability fact of it, the fact that you can fish so many different types of bodies of water. You can fish lakes, you can fish ponds, creeks, whatever. I mean, it's just really versatile. And the tournament competition aspect of the kayak fishing is also completely different. There's a tremendous amount of benefits to it. You know, those guys can launch anywhere they want on the lake. It's a catch and release at the time they catch them. They just measure the fish. It's just peaceful. It's quiet and peaceful on there. So from that standpoint, I think that it's only going to, you know, get more popular as time goes on. One of the concerns I do have about kayak fishing though, and then I want to sort of give maybe you guys some tips on it a little bit. One of the concerns that I have about it is the fact that I see that these kayaks anymore morphing into these high-tech machines that get away from like what the basic foundational principle of fishing out of a kayak is. I mean, anymore you got super powerful, some got electric motors, some of them's got, you know, I don't know if they use gas on it, but some of those, I've seen some of those kayaks, it's almost like they get up on plane with the thing. Some guys use like, you know, 10 rods in them. They got high-tech trolling motors. There's guys that have live scope on them. I've seen several kayaks that have three electronic units on it. And by the time you get it all decked out with this technology, you know, they cost about what a regular bass boat would be. So personally, I would like to see more limitations on the equipment as far as the way kayaks could be rigged out, especially the electronic technology part of it. So it's almost like if you have these kayak tournaments and there's one person in there that say they don't have much money and they want to compete and all they can afford is basically a kayak with a few rod and reels, it's not really fair to those dudes versus the guys that have live scope and 3 electronics and, you know, every bell and whistle possible known to man on these kayaks are sort of then you have an unlevel playing field financially, like you do in regular bass fishing tournaments, which the unlevel financial playing field and the financial discrimination is rampant in the sport, and I hate to see it in kayak fishing too. But overall, the whole principle of it, the simplicity part of it, is going to be what's most appealing. So I'll just give you guys a few tips. I mean, if you're a kayak angler, and I know that I used to have a kayak, you know, just a simple kayak. It wasn't like one of these high-tech ones, but I had canoes, I've had kayaks, I floated in flat bottoms. I've got quite a bit of experience in fishing small bodies of water like that. To me, the biggest positive and the biggest thing that you need to take advantage of more than anything if you're in a kayak is the accessibility that you have to areas that other people can't reach. Getting into hard areas, extremely shallow areas, in the extremities of the upper arms of creeks and rivers. One of the things that I would do if I was a kayak competitor is I would get on Google Earth and I would search out those areas, especially since you guys can launch. I think you guys have to have like a public ramp to put in. I'm not positive on that, but I would search out those areas that simply don't get the fishing pressure. You think about it, is if you do a little bit of research on that, you can access and you could fish water almost any lake in the country that a regular bass boat can't get to. And that's this huge advantage that you should take advantage of in a kayak. And obviously the stealth approach is a given on something like that. But anyway, overall guys, I really like the idea of kayak fishing. I think one of the things that probably is going to hold it back to some extent is that some people enjoy fishing with other people. Obviously, if you're in a kayak, you can't really do that unless you just got some guy you're paddling right next to all day long, something like that. But it offers the ability to slow the growth and technology down a little bit if it's done right. So it's more popular now than it ever is. I really don't see any reason at this point why it's going to lose popularity. And from an environmental standpoint, it's much more environmentally friendly. It's just, there's a huge amount of positives to it. So overall, I like it. I love the idea of kayaks. I may become just a pure kayak fisherman at one point in my life too. I mean, I can see myself going in that direction at one point because I really like the overall concept of it. So just my 2 cents on it, guys. Hope you're all doing good. Talk later. See you.